Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is Preacher Moss, the host of the S.O.S. The Shout Out Show. Welcoming everybody back from our hiatus. We hope everybody's been having a good time. Lots been going on in the world. As you can see, we have good things, we have bad things. But today we're going to celebrate a little bit. Every once in a while, I get to bring on comedians that I like. And there are comedians I like, and then there's comedians I respect. This one I happen to respect and like my dear brother, Sir L.A. Hardy, one of the funniest men who's in the business today. Also want to send out some condolences. We've seen more evidence of lack of gun control, lack of self-control in Texas. We're outside of Dallas, outside of Houston. We just see this carnage on and on and on. So peace and blessings to the families. Because the smallest stories that we don't see is how people have to put their lives together. So I want to make sure that our prayers and our du'as are going out to these people and making sure that we are staying prayed up, that we have protection in this life and the next life to make sure that these things don't happen to ourselves and our loved ones. I don't want to happen to anybody, point blank. So that's number one. Number two, just want to give a shout out to the DC crew, held it down for me. Aunt Maxine, thank you so much. As many of you know, my mom had a stroke, and just whole idea of trying to be primary care people didn't work. But I have to tell you that my mom and my aunt have made it so much easier. Well, a shout out to my dear cousin Jamie Cade as well. We want to make sure that we get this straight. We had a wonderful experience, myself and Sister Satana, this weekend. We got to work and do some mock-up work for a show with my dear brother Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, who was generous, who was hilarious, and most importantly, he was professional. Shout out, of course, to Dr. Bilal Ware Butch, my DC Bama. Hope you're doing well. So let me explain you how this show is going to go today. So we're going to have a conversation, not so much about comedy, but a philosophical conversation about how we're funny and how we come to see things that are funny. I normally don't do this. I know we had Ali Sadiq on, and I love Ali, but this brother right here is like my big brother in comedy. And when I say we've had 20, 30 years together, I'm not lying. I mean, I can remember when I trounced him in basketball when he lived in Torrance. We won't bring that up, though. Did I say that live? I did. Okay, so we'll talk about that, too. But here's the thing that I want everybody to understand. In this business of comedy, in this business of entertainment, very few people understand that there are codes and rules and things that we hold to, not just as performers, not just as comedians, but as men, as human beings. And this brother, I want to say, throughout the whole Hollywood experience, I never had a whole lot of conversation or preponderance about this brother and his integrity and what he means to other people. He's been a shining example to people like myself. Other comedians reminding me sometimes, hey man, you got to pick your game up. And I always appreciate the push. Just recently gave me a push to get on these ships and things like that. And I need that, because I can get full of myself. I can be full of myself. I can get caught up my own hype. But this is a brother who's seen my career go from quite a long time before Allah Made Me Funny, some years before Allah Made Me Funny, to today. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll this out. We are going to take a break, and we're going to come back. And I'm going to introduce you to the world and the philosophy. And he had this, I'm a concepts guy. He had this beautiful concept called Black Dad. He told me about it. Then he was doing animation. This is way before the stuff you see now, Doodly, all that type of stuff. But he invested in a concept. And when people invest in concepts, I get excited. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into the whole idea of Black Dad, concepts, writing. We're right in the middle of a writer's strike right now, but it's people like L.A. Hardy who continue to work. And the reason they continue to work is not just that they're just gifted, but they understand the work ethic. So we're going to be right back. Don't you move. This is going to be the world of L.A. Hardy here on the Shout Out Show. Welcome back. All right, let's go full screen on this. This is the time.
What's happening? Yeah, yeah.
Here, let's bring them
Black
up.
dad in the house, black dad in the house. I'm a black dad, don't beat my kids, just talk to them, black dad. I hope I'm black enough for you. I'm like Obama black, I'll piss dad off, but you ain't really that scared of me. That's true, man. I'm going to this massage therapist now, man. Don't you love getting a massage? Massage is the bomb, man. Got this massage, but he's a dude. Yeah, so happy ending means something completely different. We shake hands, I leave. We don't even make eye contact. We will never speak of this again. Black dad in the house, black dad. I am a dad, man. I'm a dad. It's a cool job. It's a cool job. Different kind of job. How many people out here with, by applause, one kid? Just one. Just one. I hate you people. Because you think you're better than us with more than one kid. You're not. We ask you the same questions we ask other people that have a lot of kids. And what do you say? Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. You only got one kid. How can you be tired? One. I got two. I'm worn out before I even get up in the morning. Took both my kids to the park, man. We're hanging out. My son, he's crazy. He's 7. He climbs to the top of a tree. Woman comes to find me. Hey, black dad, your kid is at the top of the tree. I'm like, so? He know his way down, and if he don't make it, I got another one. I ain't even that concerned. I got 2. Y'all with that one kid, you so worried. You see him at the park. Oh, you're gonna fall. Oh, I gotta save you. You take pictures of him doing everything. Oh, look at him take the poo-poo. Look at him take a step. You got 2 or 3 kids. That third one, you ain't even got no pictures of him. You don't even care what he look like. I've seen this movie. This ain't nothing to me. Shoot.
All right, we're back. Listen, before we get into our interview, I want to give a shout out to the Shout Out Show family. You know who you are. We're going to start right at the top. Coming in at the top, we got Mama Son, better known as Mama Mary Moss. Mama Son, thank you so much for joining us. She was very excited. She's heard so much about LA over the years. I think I spoke once or twice, but Mom, we got LA on the show today. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Allah is merciful. Thank you so much. Next up, in the house, you know who we got. We got Sister E. What's going on, Sister E? Peace and blessings to you. Thank you so much for your work and due diligence and always looking out for your brother. Peace and blessings to you and Derek. And, of course, the young lion, Jawan. Peace and blessings to all of you. Keep us in your dua, and I keep it in mind, especially as I'm traveling. Assalamu alaikum to you, my dear sister. Next up, you know it is, Mr. 6 o'clock, Mr. Straight Up, Straight Down, Brother Altaf Rashid, all the way from Toronto. What's going on, beloved? Our Canadian envoy to the show. Hey, listen, man, I'm so happy that you can. I'm standing up. I'm just joking. Listen, man, thank you guys so much for tuning in all the way from Toronto, making sure the quality of the show is good on this side of the border and the next side of the border. Next up, my big brother Bilal Salahuddin, and not by default, his queen, Sister Sonia Dalton Salahuddin. Brother, thank you so much for coming on the show. You're going to enjoy this man I brought on for you. Some of the jokes I know you're going to be able to relate to because you are a black dad. You are a black granddad. You can have your own show. Thank you so much. And we got to make sure we get in the house here. Permissible laughter. Yes, why Lincoln Salon Rafatullah Barakat to Sister Satana Whitfield, our executive producer who did a stellar job working on the Mahmoud Abdul Rauf production. I felt like a big brother ready to cry. I said, oh, this is phenomenal. She did great stuff. So shout out to Sister Satana working those skills. So let's bounce to this. We say veteran, but in the entertainment game, some people say veteran means you're older or you're obsolete. When I say veteran about this man, I mean pound for pound. I'll put him on the stage with anybody from anybody. Dave Chappelle, George Lopez, and I know he's going to do work. Why? Because there's some comedians who are funny naturally. He's funny naturally. But then there's some guys who say, listen, let me peel back all this BS and can I get to the core of who I am and then be, I want to say disciplined and then be in, like they said, in the gym getting up shots, making sure he does not miss opportunity. This is one of the hardest people, working people in the business. We got him here on the show today. So listen, let me get him out. Let's get him out here. He's working out. My dear brother, let me give you the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, in this corner, L.A. Hardy. What's going on, beloved?
Salam alaikum, my brother. How are you, man? Good to see you with that kind of
Yo, man.
intro, man. You put a lot of pressure on a brother with that kind of intro, man. I mean, that was a lot, man. I wasn't ready for it, but now I feel much better. I'm into it, man. I got my sweat on. I'm ready to go.
Man, I think the one time you made me grip my teeth, like I gotta work, I gotta get on my game. Was that doggone black dad, man?
Thanks,
I'm a
man.
I'm I'm a concepts guy.
Yes, yes.
The people who write jokes and people who do concepts. That concept is dope now.
Thanks, man. Thanks,
It
man.
was
It's been
it was so
working.
dope back then. You didn't even have to have kids. You could just say, "I want to be a black dad."
You're pretty
And
right.
and I think the funny part of it is it just follows through because there's almost like a chain of transmission. Like when I see you do black dad and you start talking, I see a black mom. I see a black dad. I see a lot of I want to say African American pride in your choices, in your expression, man. Which is the fun part about watching your comedy. I mean, when you start doing comedy, like I could really I could really put a lot of other comedians out of work with my skill set.
Man, it's always been fun. I got 30 years in this game, as you well know.
Yes,
We've been at
sir.
it. We've been at it a long time. I still love it, man. I mean, I still like the build up to getting on stage, looking at jokes, coming up with something that's almost even a retread, something that I used maybe even years ago, and now here's some things that have happened that have allowed me to add it into something else, like a gumbo, stir it up, and have a whole new life to that piece of material or that concept.
I mean, I love it, man. I mean, I watched this clip and I was like, did I give LA this tag? But you talk about the sun being up in the tree
Yeah.
and the lady talking about, oh, he might fall. I thought you were going to say, hey, listen, gravity is undefeated.
I should have used that as a tag. That would have been the one. That would have been the one. But that's an example of exactly what I was just talking about. That because that piece has kind of morphed into some other things that I've added to it and made it have even more life. Because now those same kids I was talking about are past tense. My son now is 18, so I can't
Yes.
still keep talking about him like he's climbing a tree. But I can revert it and relate it to how he was and how I was as a younger black dad and him as a younger kid. So it's had a nice metamorphosis and a nice life. It's here again.
I mean, I think the next time I get down to Florida, I just want to come see your set.
Love it, man. Love it, man.
I just want to see your set. Um, your DVD. I have issues. I got issues. I think that it really begins this whole thing about, and I talked to Mr. Gregory about this, um, Mr. Dick Gregory, and he said that there are artists who will transcend what the skill sets are around them, and you begin to create your own market. Like now, you do cruises and things. You have a plethora of things that you can go to. You can TV, you can write, you can do the cruises. You have all these things, man, and it's kind of nice because we're older. We're older, and it's nice to be like, hey, man, I have all these things, and I want to say that these are not just acquired work sets. Like we've worked over 30 some years to get them.
Well, man, after putting in this kind of time, you have a toolbox that you start off with. It doesn't have many tools in it, and then
Yeah.
after you've been doing this for quite a while, you have certain tools. That are like, okay, if this kind of crowd is here, this is what's going on. Let me get this tool out of the box and use this tonight. Throw this material out, change things around. I mean, it's been fun metamorphosizing. I would actually call it reinvention because it's like
Hmm.
Chappelle's kind of done the same thing. Rock's done the same thing. You can't keep talking about the same things that you were talking about when you were a 25, 30-year-old. Those kind of things are passe. You got to talk about something that's more up to date for your own lifestyle, for whatever you're doing. and that's kind of where I went. It's funny because when I was starting out, so much of comedy was like, oh, it's got to be a setup punch, it's got to be a formula, it's got to be this, and I was talking to the crowds then, and now that's like an art form that people are paying money to see somebody roast each other and do comedy that way. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like what I started out doing, which wasn't as accepted then, is now damn near the norm. You know, so it's kind of fun to see.
I mean, I almost got fired for talking to the audience.
My point exactly. They would never want us, especially as black communities, to talk to the audience because they acted like that's so easy because it came naturally to us.
But
And
I
some
think
of
the
us,
thing also is like uh, Nipsey Russell, may Allah be pleased with him. And he told me about the the chitlin circuit.
yeah,
You remember the Toba circuit?
right,
Toba, for those for what it means, literally, Toba means tough on black asses, and it was all Jewish, Jewish
right,
theater that were booking all the black people. So it's Toba, you need to know that
right.
for history. But
Oh yeah,
what he said was, up until Dick Gregory does like the Jack Parr show or the Playboy Club in Chicago, he says, man, they couldn't talk to white audiences.
yeah.
Like it would be a two-man group. It would be like him and Mantan Moreland going back and forth, and the white audience would listen in. And I asked him, I said, well, what is it? What is it that scares him? He says, people in comedy equate emotional intelligence to the type of jokes that you tell. Like if you can talk to them at their level, then people think that you could talk above their level.
Well,
So
that's the
that
thing.
whole,
Once they realize that you do have and can relate to their level, to me that's the strongest compliment you can give, because now you're saying I'm a human being.
yeah, yeah, like Pryor,
Yeah,
like when Pryor would talk, it was interesting because people were like, it was levels to Pryor, right?
right.
Like there were levels to Richard Pryor. I think the genius level of Pryor was letting people know I've been on this level all along. I had to bring you along so you can understand what I'm talking about, what I'm thinking, business expression, his writing, his stand up. These are like multi talented dudes, and he comes out of that. He comes out of that genre whereby our heroes like Red Fox and Nipsey Russell and Garvey Cambridge, you just couldn't tell jokes.
No, you had to be a five-tool player,
Yeah,
and I
Sammy
think I
Davis
think
Jr. You
he
sent me that thing about Sammy Davis Jr. He
yeah,
told jokes, he danced, he played the drums, he could sing. I mean, he had to
play
be able to do
piano.
it all.
Yeah, yeah, I
Mhm.
totally agree. I think Richard's greatest achievement to me, from my
Mhm.
perspective, when I was looking at him, was the movie Which Way Is Up. I mean, when he did that, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I
Which
want to
way
do
is up
that.
is it's just a classic. It's a classic.
Absolutely,
I mean, we
absolutely.
we we, we celebrate the clumps and Nutty Professor and all of that, and we're like, yo, did anybody remember?
Yeah, man, that straight
Did
came from that.
anybody remember which way is up?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but I think the thing is, is there a gap, LA? Is there a gap? Like we have a writer strike right now, right?
Right, right.
So there's a push for unscripted stuff. Um, but it's interesting because I've been watching some of the old stuff that I really enjoy. The Sanford and Sons, the Jeffersons. I watch Barney Miller, right?
Right, right.
And I realized that these people that we really really like, outside of Sanford and Son, they were just really really well trained actors, so it meant that the writing had to be just absolutely pristine.
Well,
Like
you
the
had that, and you didn't have so much access to so much other stuff to compete with it. Uh,
hmm
that was pretty much the groundbreaking stuff. The other thing is, I remember the actor strike. That was the start of reality TV. I mean, that was the start of Big
yeah.
Brother and Survivor and all that. We saw that from the very beginning, man. I mean, who knows what's going to come out of this? I mean, something is equally earth shattering could come out of this writer strike, depending upon how things go.
I don't want to get to the writer's strike just yet. I don't want to do that just yet. But I want to talk about LA in high school, man. When you're in high
Woo!
school, you on the way to college?
What's that?
When you're in high school, were you on the way to college or were you on the way to the stage?
Um, kind of both. I've led like 3 or 4 different lives, man. I started out trying to play professional baseball. That was my goal. That
I
was
remember
all I
that.
ever wanted to do. I played all the way through high school, Division 1 college ball, semi-pro, and just jumped around trying to play till I was probably about 30, 33, 34.
Mm,
Got out of that. I was in working in corporate America at the time, and I started comedy full time April 1st, 1993. About a year before that, I was dared to go on stage by a friend of mine who's actually a comedian now as well on ships, J.R. McCullum, and did my
okay.
5 minutes, won the contest, and had the bug ever since, man. The best way I can describe it is I can't not do this thing. It's something I just have to do. Have to do it.
Let me ask you, does the doggedness for comedy kind of come from the fact you were trying to make it in pro ball?
Yeah, it pretty much comes from a persistence from my pops, man. He was just, you don't quit stuff. You
Hmm.
start something, you stick with it, kind of thing. And you may not be perfect at it. You may not even be the best, but that doesn't mean you're not going to put forth a lot of effort to make that happen. And I guess that's probably true, man. I'm like a dog on a bone once I get a hold to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit more about your pops.
Man, short dude. He was shorter than mom, made less money than mom. Actually, met my mom's, was working for my mom in a hospital. One of the funniest guys I ever met. And yeah, he's he would put the fear of God in you with some of the stuff he would say. Things like, I'll slap the fire out of you, which, when you think about it as a term, is pretty scary to a young kid getting slapped so hard fire would come out of you if you took that literally. So he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
uh, he was something else, man. He was a real short guy. I'm 6 feet. He was like 5'6". My mom was 5'7". He put 3 black men through college, and
I'm be that.
was married to her for 45 some odd years, man. And yeah, just a great example of what a good dude should be.
Yeah, tell me about mom, man. I know
Especially, well,
mom is still
the other
with us.
part of
Thank
that
goodness.
especially in a world that ain't designed for them to be successful, and then getting with my mom, who's a registered nurse for 55 years. She's now 93, still lives on her own. Also, is equally hilarious. The two of them, great senses of humor, sacrifice quite a bit for their kids to do things. I mean, I don't remember going on too many vacations on any cruises when we were younger. A vacation meant, you went out of state, went to grandpa's house, and
Yeah,
that was the thing. And but it was like a lot of us. They made us not. We didn't know we didn't have things. So you and having brothers and sisters, there was no play dates. You played with your whoever was around you at the time, your brothers, sisters, cousins, and that's where I drew the whole family thing from and the black dad thing from, because we, as a people, our dads were pretty strong in the house, man. And as a black man back then, especially, you had to be, because you fighting in the community out here in the streets, and then you got to come home and still have your dignity to be able to raise a family and have them look up to you as somebody positive. My pops
yeah,
taught
man.
me that.
I mean, like I said, I thought the concept of the black dad was just so dope when it came out because really, whew, you're talking about almost a 10-year period. You had the crack war start in '89, and down here in DC, crack war started in '85.
Like
You're
88,
talking
yeah.
about you're talking about Black Dad in '95, around that
Right,
time.
right.
Look, I'm just here to tell you, man, the whole framework in terms of family infrastructure, um, continuation, succession, it was just all out of whack, man. Like I
Well,
say, I
that
say
was
crack is like the new slavery. It's like,
well, that was an impetus for me to do that, because it was so much stuff I was doing with my kids. I mean, I was coaching, I was a stay-at-home dad, I was also
mm,
running a corporation at the same time. My wife is a flight attendant; she's flying all over the world. I'm taking care of stuff at the house. It's like a one-man corporation, but even more than that, because it was like, I'm raising these kids. I'm not an absentee person. I'm right there. So
right.
getting the chance to watch my kids grow in that environment was something that was real helped me to be real creative, because I had to be real creative in some of the stuff I came up with to combat some of the stuff that they were coming up with.
No, it's interesting, man. Now, raising children today, As comedians, we talk about this often. Raising children today, like what are the challenges? Like I say, man, could black dad really survive and thrive the way he did 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certain things don't go away. I mean, uh, you still have to interact with other parents. Your kids are still going to interact with other kids that you may not necessarily approve of, and that's a big challenge because who your kids grow up and hang out with has a strong bearing on how they can turn out. And if you have the wrong kind of environment, sometimes that can blow up in your face because it definitely blew up in mine. Me and my son went round and round and round. Like when he was in junior high and all the way to high school, that was a rough 4 or 5 years. He's getting ready to graduate now. I mean, dude, we actually had 3 actual fist fights in the
Wow.
yard. Me and my son. We 3 actual fist fights, and I'm here to tell you, I'm 2-1 so far. So it was that third one that was the turning point.
The third one, you're like, look, you're gonna have to graduate. You're gonna do
Yeah,
something.
man. I had to come up with something. I had to come up with something unique on that third one. You
It's
know,
like, look, I see you're an entrepreneur. I said, I don't know
you're
what
gonna
you're
be
gonna
in
do. You gotta go out
vocational
and
school.
find it. No,
Yeah, you're gonna have to be in vocational school. You ain't gonna be going to college. You'll be in vocational,
yeah, I mean,
taking up a trade.
I think it's interesting. Where I'm at the age now, where particularly in the Muslim comedy space, I'll go somewhere and perform, and somebody go, "Oh, I never heard you before." I'm like, "How old are you?" Like, I'm 19. I'm like, "You weren't born when I started."
There you go. There you go.
You weren't
Well,
born. I'm like,
man, that's one of the things that I've found myself. I don't want to say the word conundrum, but that's kind of a word I would use because it's like a lot of my audience is older that I see that's probably 45, 50, but at the same time, I get a lot of kids, man, because I talk to them and I don't talk at them. And
yeah,
while I'm giving them the business, they know it's coming from a good place and that I'm not here to harm them. And that's one of the main things I had to get across to my son with the black dad thing is, you know, there's no reason for me to hold you back. That does me no good. This is to move you forward. And once he started to see a little bit of that, it's made for a better relationship between the two of us. Because a father and the son, man, that's the Mufasa and the Simba syndrome, and they always try to take over the house. So
absolutely. Hey, LA, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back, man. Don't you move. All right, we'll be right back with LA Hardy, everybody. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm comedian Preacher Moss. I hope you're having a blessed Ramadan. Listen, I just want to take a couple of minutes of your time to talk about Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services represents a lot in the city of Houston. You have a lot of relief organizations throughout the country, throughout the state, but I have to say Olive Branch Muslim Family Services is one for the home team of the city of Houston. Listen, let me tell you about myself. I've always lived this idea that I'm always going to have more blessings than I'm going to have problems. And in that space, I've been able to understand that the blessings sometimes mean I can be a blessing in somebody else's life, much the same with Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Years ago, maybe 2 years ago, we had a video and it asked the question, the profound question, imagine if it wasn't an olive branch. Not so much the organization, but the absence of compassion and mercy. Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Not so much a question, but a reminder of a prophetic tradition that all of our prophets who have come came to advocate for the poor and uplift the suffering. Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Thinking about that. OBMFS. I changed the letters from Olive Branch Muslim Family Services and dug a little deeper, thinking about that prophetic tradition. So Olive Branch Muslim Family Services is really Olive Branch's mission is family success. We need your help. While you're writing out that check, brothers and sisters, think about that. What's a world without compassion? What's good music without good instruments? What's a president that's distrustful and not honest? Okay, let me get back focused. In any event, imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Let me remind you.
We just need help.
All Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Muslim Family Services at your command. The people who help people have to say. We need your donations, don't delay. We all have struggles from time to time. But leaders dedicated is what you find. Before another person sheds a tear. Support Olive Branch, you don't have to fear. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see. Compassion you can feel. Sing it with me. Ooh. Ooh. All right, we're back with L.A. Hardy, everybody. Listen, we're going to take these next couple of minutes. If you have any questions that you would like to ask of my dear brother L.A. Hardy, please put them in the comments section. I want to give a shout out to my little brother JT. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Little brother on the new job, on the new job. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Woo!
I know, brother. You got to put that work in. So, we're just in that space. So let's go ahead and let's pop in. There you go. So yeah, man. So let me get to some stuff, man. I don't do top fives. I do like top threes. Who are some of the comedians that you're liking right now?
That I'm liking. Hmm. Tough to say because I don't watch too many people. I'm an old school guy, man.
Wait. Can you say that again?
Which part?
You
I'm an
don't
old
watch too
school
many
guy.
people.
Yeah, I don't watch very many other comics, if at all. And
And
if I do,
can you tell people why?
I don't want anything leaking from somebody else's act or their ideas getting in the way of what I'm trying to say. I think what I got to say is pretty unique to me, and
Hmm.
that's why I went from writing straight up jokes,
Hmm.
set up punchline, which is things people can just take from you, to making it as personal as I possibly can, talking about things that are personal to me, and I don't want to watch somebody else's personal stuff leak into anything that I'm doing.
I'm a big fan of that, and I learned that from the jazz world.
Yeah.
Because it's always sad. I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm saying I'm old. But you're at the point now. We've heard so much comedy that when you sit in the back and you hear a new guy, sometimes you know what the premise is, so you know what the joke is going to be.
Yes.
And the worst part is somebody that steals a riff from somebody else and try to retrofit it in their act. And we sit in the back like, yo, that's so and so's joke. We heard that, da da da. It's like, yo, the
Yeah.
idea of newness.
And see, that's
From
that's what I don't want to do, man. And I don't want to be the comedy police sitting in the back of a room critiquing every new person that comes along. This sucks. These new kids, and yeah, I don't want to get into that, man. I just want to stay in my own space because I mean, I went through a period of where I might have felt like some of what I was doing was feeling a little stale. Some of what I was saying was feeling like it was like retreaded, and I had to kind of go and reinvent some of the stuff I was writing, some of the stuff I was
Mhm.
thinking, and some of the stuff and energy I was putting out there. And it's turned itself kind of around, mostly due from doing these cruises because I've done so many shows. It helps you to hone your craft and to just to get better. I worked the last 3 weeks. I just got off a ship on Monday. I've just done 30 shows, and the
Yeah.
last four were 45-minute clean shows in front of 2,000 people. And it was a test for me to go out and do something like that because I hadn't really stretched that muscle. So uh,
Hmm.
it's a thing where it's the more you do, the better you're going to get.
Well, I think the thing also people is because if people talk to me like, oh, you do clean comedy. I'm like, no, I do funny comedy.
Right,
I
right.
was like, I said, I'm like, and it's hard to explain to people sometimes. It's like there was a thing back in the day called the Johnny Carson show, and
Yeah,
everybody wanted to be on Johnny Carson.
right,
But if you want to be on Johnny Carson, your 7 minutes had to be clean.
right,
It had to be killer and it had to be clean.
right.
So it's like, yo, we will always you have a set over here that you work, but this is the set. This is a set that breaks you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I don't even see comedians on TV these days really even get they're not breaking like they did with. I remember watching Drew Carey on Johnny Carson show. He killed it, and I remember like everybody giving him high fives at the Improv that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we don't
Well,
see comedians really breaking like that.
well, the opportunities are so much more where they don't have to wait on a Johnny Carson.
Yeah,
You can produce your own special. You can go to Netflix. You can go to other venues and get your stuff put up. And a lot of people are just putting their stuff up anyway, so like it doesn't really even matter. Um,
right.
it's a different world out here, man. And uh,
But does it make the marketplace a little harder for when you got the hammer, but you got to go through so much. Like I said, sometimes you got to go through a little muck and wallow to be able to shine. You know what I mean?
I think it's a little easier. I think it's easier because you have so many more outlets that you can do something on now. You don't have to wait around for that call from LA. You can do things from all over the country. You've got Dry Bar, which is a completely clean format for comedy. I've done one of those. They tape out in Utah. Right now, I'm at McCurdy's in Sarasota, Florida. They do one called Open Bar, which is the totally opposite. It's like a dirtier version of that. That one comic has already got 1 million views on that alone. So it's not
Well,
like
let
you
me
get to
ask
wait.
you. Let me ask you experience with dry bar because that's been mentioned to me several times. I want to say like 10 comics have mentioned dry bar to me. How is dry bar for you?
It's kind of like going to college or graduating from a program. It
Hmm.
basically just says that you can do this kind of work. Uh, Other than that, it is what it is. I mean, I've been at it so long at this point. It's just another tool in the toolbox. You know what I mean? It's another screwdriver. It's another pair of pliers. It's just another thing that I can say, hey, I did this, so that means you should open the door for me to do this other thing.
Well,
Because
how was
really, man,
it?
that's what this thing is all about. Work begets work. You know,
Yeah, well, how was the experience for you overall? And, it was a new opportunity, as you said, different ways to get out there.
it was a good experience. As soon as I got to Utah, I was racially profiled, so that helped me to understand that it wasn't a joke. They actually uh, don't necessarily like black people.
I've
So
been out to Utah a couple times. I can't say I topped you, but I had to perform for Muslims in Utah, Salt Lake City.
they have Muslims in Utah.
Yeah, bro, in a growing community.
Are they all surrounded?
I felt like this. I was like, listen, I'm gonna be really, really on time with these jokes because this place might get raided.
Right?
You know what? L.A. I had to go to the. I went to the Eid celebration at the White House, like May the 1st, right?
Right?
And there's all these Muslims in this space, and they close the door and wait for Biden to come out. And I know it's supposed to be a festive thing, or celebrate a religious holiday, but I saw all these Muslims in here, high profile folks, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, at some point in time, wait, somebody just run in and go, everybody get on the ground. I'm like, I knew
Right?
this was a setup.
It sounded like a setup. It
Like,
sounded
get
like
on
a
the
setup.
ground. I
It
told you I didn't want
sounded
to come.
like a setup.
I mean, but I found it funny because I was like, y'all don't see this funny at all. Like you don't. Maybe I'm the dude. I'm not waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know how it is.
I might have to laugh at that situation to keep from crying because that sounds like a setup.
It did. I was like, oh, y'all eating food here? Y'all gonna get drugged. I was,
There's vaccine in the food.
yeah. I was like, yo, nobody heard about the Tuskegee experiment? Don't drink that.
Put that down.
But man, one of the things I really love about stand up is, very original, very relevant. A lot of the stuff you talk about, some of the social issues. What I like is you don't soft shoe it. You call it
Don't play.
straight ahead. You call it straight ahead. You can say what it is. We're looking at politics. Like here on the Shout Out Show, we celebrate comedy, but we do look at real issues. We've had a couple of shootings and things like that, and just the processing of America in the context of these are things that hurt us. These are things that traumatize us. It's like we see it and then it's gone. It's almost
Well,
like
dude, I'll tell you. I live in Florida, and you see it, and it's not gone. It's right there. What they're only thing that's gone is they're trying to take our history away, from being taught in the schools. I just saw this morning, and I don't even watch the news, but this morning they were showing excerpts of some books that they were going to take out of social studies and change in the curriculum of the schools in Florida. And my take on that was the last thing you want to do is start changing our history to not reflect more of what we did and to make us look bad, because then we're going to have to still keep coming up with these Wakanda movies, and then black people are going to come up with stuff when we actually realize who we were before, and that's going to mean more trouble for you. So you're better off letting us hear the history that we already created.
You know what, man? I'm like, how come they don't try and take out chemistry books? All the courses we had problems passing. Like take out physics, take out physics and algebra. They don't need algebra. It's hurting our kids.
That's right. Yeah, making them feel bad.
Oh yeah, that one kills me, man. I've said a lot of things. People got upset. I'm like, what's up with the kids these days, man? They are butter soft. Like
Truth.
I don't know what the deal. Like I did a show for high schoolers, Muslim high schoolers, and they couldn't take a joke, man. Like they want to
Wait a minute.
heckle
Wait a
you.
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Muslim high schools.
Yeah, Muslim high schoolers. Yeah.
Don't be telling folks on this radio box. Get us all in troubles.
Everybody on the ground. I knew this was welcome to Muslim high school. Get on the ground. I knew it was the sound. No, man,
Right
but
on.
it's like they when they talk to you, it's like they're talking to their TV, and when you talk back to them, they're like, oh.
Oh man, yeah, they
It's
can
like
be a
y'all
little
can hear
strong.
you. You know that, right?
I'll tell you, man. I used to run into a lot more of that a few years ago because my act, I really get into talking to these kids, but I've gotten to a point where uh, I won't say I've softened the blow, but I've learned how to bring them in without breaking their little booty holes too badly. And it's almost like working with a wife. I kind of make them feel like it was their idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that saved me over the years is doing shows at the prisons.
Probably so. Yeah.
I'm like,
And by,
hey,
and by the way, my friend, that's a great thing that you're doing with that. And though for those of you that don't know, this brother does go to prisons and talk to these cats, as well as giving them the laughter and the life lessons. So he knows what he's talking about, and proud to call him as my brother, Preacher Moss. And how's your mom's doing, man? Not to get off the subject, but I got to go
oh
soon,
man,
and I had to get that out.
she is watching the show, man. She sent a comment out for you. I don't know if
What's up,
we can
mama?
bring it back up. She made a comment up, and let's see. Osama Henley Dry Bar is making the fashionably clean. Okay, thank you, Osama. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So coming on new to the show, inshallah. Guess what, LA? I'm gonna try and do Dry Bar, man.
Dude, you should do it. You should do it. Every opportunity you have to do
It's
any of
called.
this
It's
stuff
going to be
is
called the
another tool,
driest bar.
dry bar.
It's going
Another tool in the toolbox, man.
to be called Muslim bar.
There you go. T-bar.
You know what? I'll be honest, man. You know what? The first time we did All Made Me Funny, we didn't do it at a mosque or anything. We did it at Yuck's Comedy Club in
All right.
Toronto. And we talked Mark Breslin into not serving any alcohol. And he went out and bought a whole bunch of halal food. And it was so funny, you know, all praises due. We had a lot of people come out for a first time project. And Muslims that come in and they want two things. They want, where we going, what are we going to eat? And where do we pray? And so we didn't have a place to pray. But this club, you know, this comedy club had like these nightclubs. So we literally told people, hold on. We threw like these big sheets over all the alcohol. And we were like taking air spray, like pine tar air spray. And everybody prayed. Nobody knew. So
That's
if you're in
cool. That's
Toronto,
cool to have it. That's cool to have it in that kind of venue, man. That's where it should be
no,
anyway.
it was wonderful, man. I like I said, man, I really, I just enjoyed the whole scope of it, man. It was an amazing process. But look, I want to keep you true to your word. I know you have to go, brothers and sisters. You know, LA is a working comedian, so we're gonna let him get to work.
There it is.
LA, I don't want you to be late. You know how I am about being late, and I know
That's
how
right.
you are about being late. It's like we're like the Nation of Islam on steroids on that
There you
time.
go. Can't do it. Can't
Well,
do
I
it.
don't want you to be late, my brother. Listen, man, I will be in touch with you. Much love to you and your family. Thank you so much for coming on, man. We're gonna have you back, and let's get together and write something because all the other writers are sitting at home playing video games right now.
Dude,
So
let's get some scab work out here. Let's go.
we shoot that stuff. In the words of Darvin Hands, I don't know if you remember Darwin Hines.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so he had his name of his production company was I'll Do It My Damn Self Productions.
Nate Jackson is doing the same thing with a concert tour. I'll do it my damn self. I love it. And
I
that's
think
what you
I
got
think
to do, man.
and yeah,
Get on the drive
we
bar,
have
man. Get
we
on the
have the
drive bar.
expertise. I'm gonna do
Get on the
Drive Bar,
drive
man.
bar. Get on the
I'm gonna
drive
talk to
bar.
you. I'm gonna talk to you about Drive Bar, and I dig into information about Miss Garcia, excuse me, Lisette Garcia. I'm gonna do it all. I'm having
All right.
fun right now, so uh, and hopefully we'll get in a spot where we can do something together. That's the main
Good.
plan, brothers and sisters.
That's what's
We'll
up.
be able to work together.
Much
So
love
listen,
to you
man, I'm
and
gonna
your
let you
family.
go. Peace and blessings to you and your family, man. May Allah continue to God bless you and strengthen your heart. Thank you so much for coming on the Shout Out Show and sharing yourself and your experience and your philosophy. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my dear brother, L.A. Hardy, the one and only
Thank you,
Black
man.
Dad. Thank you,
Thank you,
brother.
man. Appreciate you. Much love to you and the fam, man. I'll
Yes,
see you
sir,
soon.
man. Much love. We're gonna take a break and we'll be right back.
Tarife Atar, the scent of enlightenment. A gentle reminder that air, water, and fire indeed are life-giving essences. Appreciate the intersection of time and luxury. Magnify your essence. Tarife Atar.
All right, we're back, everybody. Once again, thanks and shout outs and kudos to my main man, L.A. Hardy. All right, but since we have a little bit of time left on the show, I have a couple things I just want to talk to you guys about. Sometime before, a little bit beforehand, around Ramadan, I started a project called the Love a Lot More Challenge. And the Love a Lot More Challenge was really a pro intellectual approach to us being able to talk about our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But more importantly, it's like, how do we engage our own spirituality? How do you grow the mercy that comes to you? How do you grow the compassion that comes to you? So, what I want to say is, we had a lot of people who contributed videos. I have some people that are still supposed to contribute some videos, and I'm looking forward to them. But I want to say thank you for everybody that contributed to videos because we've been able to grow this thing into a much larger campaign. And I'm going to say right now that I would love to have everybody on the shout out show contribute a video to this campaign. Listen, this is going to be a much larger thing. We're trying to make this a little bit of a social justice addendum on our own spirituality, our own souls. You know, the Love a Lot More Challenge, I would hope, and in this regard, is we go out and we're doing service projects. We're going out and we're feeding the hungry. We're sitting down with young children and reading books. We're doing these things that strengthen this creation that we're blessed to be a part of. So I'm going to put that out there. That's number one. Number two, you're going to see some things coming down the pike. I would like to say them to you now before you see them in the press release that we do have the formulation for a new company, which is Permissible Laughter Records. Now, Permissible Laughter Records will do a lot of things. We'll be putting out content, some of the older content that we didn't distribute because I want to get it right, but also a publishing company that will help with that. But with Permissible Laughter Records comes the fact that we will be moving into live shows. As you heard Brother LA and I talk about, doing it our doggone self, doing our damn self, this is what doing shows like the Shout Out Show leads us to. And shout out to Sister Tana, who's been with me since day one, and all of the Shout Out Show family has been with me since day one. We are moving. So we will be going to different aspects of production. We'll be doing different aspects of podcasts. And we're going to ask all of you, number one, to support us through these different platforms, and number two, to pray for us. To be creative is not enough these days. To be creative is not enough these days. And the reason I say that is, creation comes from your ability to look at a model and have a variation on the model. Either going to replicate the same model or you're going to do something different in terms of options on it. So it's not really, I always say, we are, if you're good, very, very efficient discoverers. We find out different ways to do things. Well, in this space, brothers and sisters, we are expanding. In the city of Houston, Texas, in the fall, mid to late fall, we will be doing the first ever Houston Muslim Comedy Festival. That's right, you heard it here. We will be doing a series of festivals. Houston, we will be doing Orange County, inshallah. Orange County, California, inshallah. We'll be doing Washington, D.C. And if Allah blesses us, New Year's, we're going to be doing Atlanta. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because many of you viewers, especially our Shout Out Show family, have been supporters of me for a couple of years now since we started of course, during COVID. But the idea is that I've been able to, I want to say, benefit from your energy, benefit from your spirit, and be able to be creative in a lot of different ways. I mean, if you see where we are right now with the studio, where we started, Sister Satana took a picture of it, and it did look, Satana, it did look dope, that picture that you took. And I'm like, yo, because I just see it in the context that I'm just working, that you set up a microphone and you set up the cameras, you set up the lights, but you don't get a chance to fully appreciate it. And I am guilty because I haven't had a chance to fully appreciate all the people who I want to say have been with me from the beginning. So for that, I apologize. But moving forward, I'm going to ask everybody to be a part of this thing. I want videos, and when we have guests on, I want your questions. Because this is not the Preacher Mars show. A good podcast is not me telling you things. It's sharing ideas and then being able to step back and share. Because if I'm a good host, and I'm a humble host, I don't know everything. Ask the question and move. And if you have questions, and I want to say this, next week's show is going to be about finances. Inshallah, we'll bring on somebody who's an expert in Islamic finance. But I want everybody to be able to relate to what we're talking about. Because this brother is not just an expert in Islamic finance. This is a person who understood how to put together CDCs. He was a corporate guy. He's a Muslim. He's been involved in a lot of things that you haven't even seen before. And this information is not just for Muslims. I think I need to say that. This is not just for Muslims. If I talk about Islamic finance is not exclusionary of people who are not Muslim. It's just a different way to do it, a different level of compliance. So I'm going to ask everybody to tune in next week. I'm pulling on this brother. I'm begging him to be on our show. It's a little give and tug, but he may not be able to do it. I may have to do the show myself. But I'm going to encourage everybody to come in because this is just like we talked with Brother LA. What I like about Brother Fahim is that he's able to break it down. He's gone through coursework, and I can say this. Very few African American Muslims have gone through coursework and gotten a master's degree, a master's level degree to talk about Islamic finance. On top of that, the community development corporations. These are the things that we're not talking about that are extremely important. So I want everybody, not just you, get your family, get your friends, share this show. Share the information that we send out. Thank you again, Sister Satana, for running the ads. But I want everybody to come in, and from this point on, when you come in, I want you to laugh and enjoy yourself. But I want you to leave with information. Okay, my mentor used to say the information is free. What you do with it is up to you. I'm going to say the same thing. So look, we're about to sign off here. My phone is going off. You can tell I'm at my mama's house, huh? I know my mom. That's my fault. I should have taken the phone off the hook. I'm just giving my mom a hard time. She's downstairs listening to the show. So listen, you guys have been tremendous. Satana, let's go ahead and take them home. My name is Preacher Moss. You guys have been great. Again, shout out to my dear brother L.A. Hardy. Shout out to Sister Satana Whitfield too. She put on a great show today. As you can see, I wasn't touching any buttons. That means that she was in charge of it. Another great day, another great show. We hope to see you soon. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Remember, lies God, keep it simple. See you next week.